A Ferrari 250 GTO from 1962 worth $70 million, a unique 1954 Ford concept vehicle. Here are 10 of the world's most valuable automobiles. Number 10. The 1962 Ferrari 250 GTO. The legendary Italian automobile manufacturer produced the Ferrari 250 GTO between 1962 and 1964 with a specification that qualified it for the Group 3 Grand Touring Car Racing Series. It is still regarded as the holy grail of vintage cars, and those that have survived have set some incredible price records. The high demand is due to the fact that very few were built in the first place. In fact, Ferrari only produced 33 cars from 1962 to 1963 and 3 from 1964. Purchasing one at the time would necessitate authorization from Enzo Ferrari himself, as well as purchase in the United States. The asking price was $18,000, which equates to slightly more than $150,000 today. However, the actual value of these magnificent vehicles has skyrocketed far beyond that, with a 1963 Series 1 version currently holding the record for the most expensive car, having sold at auction in 2018 for an astounding $70 million. Number 9. The 1919 Helica Delate. Manufacturers experimented with various methods to provide thrust and steering in the early days of car design. The 1919 Helica Delate was possibly the most radical idea that went into production. The vehicle was known as the plane without wings because it borrowed more from aeronautical design than traditional car designs. It was designed by a French designer named Marcel Late and built by his company that same year. Passengers sat behind one another in the vehicle, which instead of using an engine to power the wheels used a massive propeller attached to the back that was rotated by an 8-brake horsepower Scorpion engine. It was rear-wheel drive and weighed only 550 pounds because it was made of plywood. That meant it was much faster than expected. In fact, a Helica was measured reaching speeds in excess of 106 miles per hour in 1927. But the design never really took off, and the company only sold 30 of them in the 7 years that they were in production. They are, however, an incredible piece of automotive history, and the few that remain are most likely kept as museum exhibits. Number 8. The Porsche 916. The Porsche 914 was a big success for the company, which sold a lot of them between 1969 and 1976. But while they kept improving the design throughout production, designers were looking for a new model to replace it in 1972. The result was the Porsche 962, which featured more aerodynamic front and rear bumpers, a 2.4 or 2.7-liter engine, ventilated disc brakes on all 4 wheels, and a more standardized shift pattern. It was a fantastic car, but after the first 11 prototypes were built, Porsche executives were forced to admit that the increased production costs simply weren't worth it, and they decided to stick with the 911 for instead. This means that those 11 were the only 916s ever built, and of those only one ever made it to America. It was fully built to US regulations, and the dealer who acquired it even installed air conditioning. It wasn't used for long, however, and in 1990, it was displayed at the Atlanta 911 for Museum, where it has remained ever since. Number 7. The 1969 Dodge Hemi Coronet R/T convertible. Between 1949 and 1976, the Dodge Coronet became one of the company's most popular models. Of course, the design evolved significantly over the years, and the final models that come off the assembly line look nothing like the first ones that were built. But this continuous evolution resulted in the creation of some highly sought-after models. One of the versions released in 1969 is of particular interest. Dodge had completely redesigned the Coronet the previous year and continued to offer upgraded options to give customers more options. One of these was the addition of a Hemi engine, which increased the vehicle's overall price by 33% and appealed only to the wealthiest Dodge fans. As a result, only 125 were ever made, and it has gained somewhat of a legendary status within the community in recent years. Number 6. The Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale. The Alfa Romeo 33 Stradale was a vehicle that was ahead of its time in many ways, and it is regarded as one of the first supercars to be produced. When it was introduced in 1967, it became the fastest commercially available vehicle across a standing kilometer, and it was essentially a street-legal version of the company's Tipo 33 racing car fitted. The Romeo 33 Strafe had a top speed of 160 miles per hour and could reach 60 in less than 6 seconds thanks to a 2-liter V8 engine that could produce up to 227 brake horsepower. It was also the first production car to have butterfly doors and an aluminum body. It was Alfa's attempt to make racing technology available to the general public, but it came at a price. It was the most expensive vehicle on the market in the United States, costing $17,000, which is equivalent to $130,000 today. Only 18 of them were ever built, making them extremely rare. It was recently estimated that if one were ever put up for sale, it would be worth at least $10 million. So far, which car do you want for yourself? Tell us in the comments. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe with notifications turned on to ensure you never miss future videos. Number 5. The 1956 Aston Martin DBR. Aston Martin is well known for his luxurious and beautiful vehicle designs, but the company also has an incredible racing pedigree. The brand new Aston Martin DBR 1 was produced for the World Sports Car Championship in 1956, and the model went on to become world famous for winning the Le Mans 24-hour race in 1959. Because this was the first year that the race car entrance did not have to be road legal, the Aston Martin designers went all out. It had a lower ride profile, covered wheel wells, and was the first to feature the triangle vent on the sides, which will be featured on all subsequent designs from the company. The success of the DBR 1 cemented Aston Martin as a leading manufacturer, and one of the models went on to set a record for the most expensive vehicle to sell at auction that was made in the UK, selling for a massive $22.5 million in 2017. Number 4. 1927 Bugatti Royale. The Bugatti Royale, also known as the Type 41, was a luxury vehicle built by the company between 1927 and 1933. To this day, it remains one of the largest production cars ever made, measuring 21 feet long with a 170-inch wheelbase and weighing at least 7,000 pounds. The plan was to build 25 of them, all of which would be sold to European royalty, but they wanted to do so at a time when the world's economy was in decline, so there were very few people looking for the most luxurious and expensive car on the market. In the end, only 7 were produced, and one of them was completely destroyed in a crash while being driven by Bugatti himself. Surprisingly, the remaining 6 are still alive and well today, and their whereabouts are well known. In 1999, for example, Volkswagen, which had recently purchased Bugatti, paid $20 million for both the Royal Coupe de Ville binder, demonstrating how valuable they are today. One of the most intriguing facts about the Royale is not where they are now, but what happened to the excess parts that were built for the initial number of units that the company wanted to build. When it became clear that there would be no demand for the cars, the remaining engines were used to power 79 rail cars for the French railways. One of the rail cars set a world record for the fastest train at the time, and this turning point transformed the Royale project from a financial disaster to an unprecedented success. Number 3. 1957 Ferrari 250 Testa Rossa. The rules of competitive racing were changed in 1957, limiting the maximum engine displacement of vehicles to 3 liters in order to compete in prestigious events, such as the 24 Hours of Le Mans. As a result, Ferrari designed a car to compete quickly, the 250 Testa Rossa. It shared many similarities with previous models, including the 250 series, but this one would go on to dominate the racing scene for years to come, reaffirming Ferrari's position as the world's most successful manufacturer. A 3-liter V12 engine designed by Colombo was used, along with significant improvements to the chassis, drivetrain, and bodywork. Because of the changes they made, Ferrari won 10 World Sports Car Championship races, including Le Mans in 1958, 1960, and 1961. They also won the Constructor World Championships in those years. Because of their pedigree and rarity, the 250 TRS is now one of the most collectible and highly sought-after Ferraris. Only 33 were ever made, with the chassis of one fetching just under $40 million in 2014. However, because of their popularity, attempts have been made to recondition those that have fallen into disrepair by using parts from other vehicles. This has sparked a debate about whether some vehicles truly are a 250 Testarossa, and because of how parts have been shared, there are even multiple vehicles claiming the same chassis numbers. Number 2. The Taobao Lego Grand Sport. Taobao, founded in 1916, was a French automobile manufacturer that specialized in both pleasure cars and racing vehicles. However, their most famous design, known as the Lego Grand Sport, was first shown in 1947. It had a shorter chassis than the company's previous models and could reach incredible speeds for the time. With an engine capable of producing up to 195 brake horsepower, the Lego Grand Sport could reach speeds of up to 124 miles per hour, depending on the weight of the body fitted. The Lego Grand Sport, designed for personal use and racing, won the 24 Hours of Le Mans, but what made it unique was that no two would look the same. Customers who purchase it on Taobao will receive only the bare chassis and will need to hire specialist coach builders to design and fit the body around it. Despite this incredible ability for customization that we rarely see nowadays, only 12 Grand Sports were built in the first year. Few survive to this day. Number 1. The RollsRoyce 15 HP. Nowadays, if you were offered a car with 15 horsepower, you'd probably think it was a joke, but more than a century ago, this would have been the pinnacle of technological ability thanks to an agreement between Charles Rolls-Royce, the owner of a motor dealership, and car designer Henry Royce, who merged to form the eponymous vehicle manufacturer. The three-cylinder Rolls-Royce 15 HP debuted at the 1904 Paris Motor Show. The car had a top speed of 39 miles per hour thanks to a 3-speed gearbox and a leather cone clutch. Customary at the time, Rolls-Royce only provided the chassis to customers for £500, which is roughly the equivalent of $80,000 today. If you bought one, you'd have to have the bodywork built by a specialist coach builder, so each finished car would be unique. Only one of the 6 made is thought to exist today, but it's possible that the others have been stored away and forgotten about. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to Tech Titans for more videos like this. We'll see you in the next video.